Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. Today I've got the Arcanum 13. It didn't have a name in the Marseille deck, which is interesting. It's quite the thing to do to just name something that was nameless. In terms of the decision that Waite made. But anyway, so I got the number 13 Arcanum Death and the Ace of Pentacles as the opportunity here. So getting started with this one, I think I think this is I think this is about you. All of us. I think this relates to how you're perceived, how we could be perceived at times. I think the context socially for this is generally it's when someone or some group of people are really overprotective. Here's the neighbors. Someone's really overprotective. Someone's really holding on to something. Someone has like a very firm plan on how things are supposed to go. Um, even it can even apply to something like someone's made up their idea. Someone's made up their mind about who you are as a person. And this could be a byproduct of them either generalizing you as a member of some category. Oh, you're one of these people. Clearly, I know what to expect of you, and they're holding on to that. Or even just someone, you know someone as a friend or a relative. It's not uncommon, for instance, for like parents to get so attached to the memories and idea of what their children were, of what we were like when we were young, that as we mature and turn into adults, it's like, it's kind of a cliche. It's like, you'll always be my little boy to me. It's like, okay, so you're having a hard time letting go of this image of this past version of us. But in any of these cases, whenever someone is like holding on to something, um, even a relatively low degree of change or innovation or creativity, it appears like this to them. It appears like this destroyer. You're just uprooting everything. You're bringing chaos, absolute chaos, and and yeah, and I not always. Sometimes this could refer to us because we're actually doing radical, revolutionary, new things. And new things, if they're genuinely new, then they've never existed before, and that's always a pretty radical, it's a pretty radical experience for people to encounter something they've never experienced before. It's pretty anxiety inducing. But I think more often than not, it's the case is that we're doing something that is actually not all that crazy, but it's just we're dealing with someone who's really locked in, really overprotective. It could also be something like an employer that just has their way of doing it. They're like micromanaging it. There's some new ways of conducting business, some new, I don't know, software or something, and they're just like, no, we're not changing. And maybe if you suggest that change a couple more times, they start sort of projecting this agency onto you as you're like this agent of chaos, right? Um, I think the flip side of this card, which also could be seen as a negative, but it would be like the nurturing, protective uh, Empress card, and I think that one one potential way to deal with, to interact with someone who has this kind of image of us, is to draw their attention to the nurturing aspects of change, right? As opposed to, the way they could be seeing things is like any change is taking away, it's shrinking and minimizing and suffocating the thing that is already perfect. Um, if you embrace that narrative, if you say yes, but listen, that thing you're holding on to, it's actually a little malnourished, and I'm just trying to give it that nutrition. I'm just trying to, it's thirsty. I'm trying to hydrate it. Let's say, by not allowing change, you're keeping it in this malnourished state. Like it could be better. It could be brought to more health. Um, I think that, from my experience, I've seen that work almost always. You gotta do it gently, not in the sort of accusatory, you're suffocating this business or something. Um, but but shift, try to shift that image, um, from change as a destroyer to change as a source of nutrition, hydration, growth, whatever. And this is just the bad. This is just the sort of bad side of this card. There's plenty of instances when people, particularly in creative fields, where they need, the status quo to be smashed. We need a new product. We need to think outside the box. We need a new idea. In those situations, the pluses and minuses of this are reversed. In that case, as the empress, you're kind of you're the bad guy. You're just you're just keeping those old ideas alive. We need to surpass them and break free from their control. And in those situations, you need someone to, particularly in the Marseille card, you need someone to just mow it all down into this. It's almost like a lake of chaotic black voidness. Like anything, I often kind of ask myself, like, are those decapitated parts, or are they some, or are they like rising out of this tar? Like some of those limbs seem like they could be, are they sinking into it? Are they actually like cut off? Are they sinking into it, or are they like rising out of it? And I like to kind of imagine that it's both. That this is the kind of, it's like this it's this change that's like this big blender, and it just kind of mixes things up. And yeah, if you're trying to hold on to things the way they are, it's like you don't want things mixed up. But yeah, just tell them you're making a really nutritious smoothie by mixing it up. All right, and then on the flip side, Ace of Ace of Pentacles as the opportunity. Uh, this made me think of how materialism gets a bad reputation. People that are, people that are seen as just pursuing money, or, a car or whatever. It's seen as this like shallow, greedy, shitty kind of thing to aim at. Um, but I think that often embracing those kinds of ideas or opinions, it can often take people way too far in the opposite direction, where we kind of adopt this stance where, like, it can be easy for us to like guilt ourselves into not desiring material things, or feeling guilty if we have too many material things. Um, but insofar as this card, I think, insofar as it embraces inspiration, attention to a new focal point, a new idea, like a new focus is presenting itself. In that sense, I think it could just represent that initial charge of energy and inspiration when something catches your eye as valuable and desirable. And like I think that while I would recommend your whole life should just be a pursuit of all these material things. Um, Also, like if you haven't gotten excited for, you know, getting something like buying yourself something nice, and even potentially like a large purchase that you need to work towards for a significant amount of time, you know, I would certainly recommend considering if that's a byproduct of like an active resistance to pursuing those things. And I think the opportunity might be to you know, give yourself permission to indulge in the inspired state of pursuing one of those things of value. Um, yeah, it could certainly be. I feel like many of us live in a time and place where value in general can be kind of frowned upon. You know, holding to hold one thing in high esteem um, is contrasted by the, you know, the fact that if you value one thing, it's you're essentially valuing it over all other things. You're creating a value hierarchy, and again, I feel like hierarchies are kind of frowned upon, you know. But but yeah, I think the opportunity might be to have something, find something new, embrace something new that, you know, isn't just some abstract direction to move in that maybe, you know, maybe your peer group or the societal narratives are sort of telling you like these are the things you should pursue, and you're like, oh yeah, I have goals in life, and you can kind of list them off, and they're things that you know are the things that you're supposed to want to pursue. I think in this case it might be like looking for, finding, or allowing yourself to pursue that thing that gives you those like cartoon star eyes or those like dollar sign eyes where someone's like zing, and you're just like get all that inspiration and energy to drive you towards that thing. And I think it's especially cool if it's like I was saying, like if it's like a long term, if it's something that you can't just get overnight. Um, Having like a singular goal that's pretty far in the distance usually ends up, or pursuing a goal that's pretty far in the distance, especially if you're pursuing it, you know, seriously, and you've got a lot of that inspired energy to pursue it with. I find that it creates this like cascade of life organization where it's like, well, if I'm going to get that thing, I can't keep fucking around with this thing, and I got to stop spending money on this because I need to save up as much as I can. And like it gets all of these other, it becomes pretty easy to make sacrifices in almost all other fields in life because those sacrifices are justified by pursuing that one penultimate goal that's inspiring you. Um, but yeah, but this one is, I think this card is just, it's really just dealing with that initial feeling, like of just of inspiration and of holding something of value. As the suit progresses, things get more specific and nuanced, but this is just the opportunity to experience or embrace that that general wide-eyed feeling of, you know, something really catching your attention and motivating you to pursue it. That's going to be it for me for today. Thanks for watching. Drop me a like if you enjoyed the video. Also, feel free to comment free reading if you would like to be entered into a weekly draw for a free reading. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.